Is this a Minecraft video? No, this is a video about art. Does this have to do with Harry Potter? Harry Potter is unethical for teaching children about magic and glorifying its use. I know. I'm sorry. Minecraft mods? Are you serious? Are you freaking kidding me? I'm dead serious. Times have changed. You see, as opportunity continues to dwindle, and we are swallowed further and further by the shadowy curtains of our dystopic reality, the brightest minds of our society, those of absolute creative and intelligent superiority, those that would have once designed engines, blueprinted cities, and developed groundbreaking methods to extract zero-emission energy, they are forced to painstakingly recreate blockbuster movie franchises by retexturing pixelated blocks in a casual video game that's target demographic is 14-year-olds. That being said, I am extremely stoked to be talking about the incredible labor of love that is the Witchcraft and Wizardry Harry Potter-themed Minecraft mod. And from here on out, I'll be referring to this mod as a game, because it is a game. It's a full-blown 10 to 15 hour RPG, with dozens of potions and spells, over 50 quests, hundreds of interactable NPCs, endless secret rooms and Easter eggs, and so many places to explore. It's actually ridiculous. You could really take away half of the things I just mentioned, and this game would still get my full endorsement, just based on the environments alone. The design coherence of the textures that they created and used for this mod is so unbelievably good, and I'd actually argue that it's much more coherent than the visual design of vanilla Minecraft. You never feel like you're running into the same visual assets over and over, or that it's a straight one-to-one reskin of standard Minecraft like you might expect. There are so many unique visual elements and so many incredible details, and the world is so big. Everywhere you go, everywhere you walk around, there's going to be some pretty detail that you can appreciate. It's straight up supercharged. It feels like there's a million different textures and a million different items, but they miraculously don't throw away quality for quantity. Everything looks so classy. None of it looks bad. So if we're strictly talking about aesthetic pleasure, I really can't think of any other game I've played that is as fun to just walk around and look at stuff and enjoy the setting. And I've played a lot of walking simulator casual indie art games that you buy on Steam for $1. I was so overwhelmed with how stunning the attention to detail was in the game's initial 3 settings, which is Harry's home, London, and Diagon Alley, that by the time I got to Hogwarts, I was completely awestruck. Now, by far, my absolute favorite part of this whole game was the magic that I felt entering Hogwarts for the first time. The feeling of being in this big new place, around all kinds of people that you're yet to meet, with countless experiences yet to be had. That kind of excitement. I was able to feel that again, thanks to the incredibly immersive quality of this map. It literally reminds me of being a kid, and being so excited to go to school for the very first time, and of being excited to go to high school for the first time, to go to college for the first time, etc. And even as you get weathered down by life into your adolescence, there's still this beautiful sense of potential, even just a little, in those circumstances. What friends will you make? What things will you do? What places that are now alien will become familiar to you? And maybe this is largely symptomatic of being an only child who spent so much of their upbringing alone, but I always loved the idea of boarding school or summer camp as a kid. That idea of being sent away to this new place, living at school, surrounded by peers your age. I can feel my heart brimming with joy just talking about it. And the funny thing is, although I did read and watch the Harry Potter novels and films growing up, I don't remember getting that same feeling from them. With the books and movies, yes, it was set in this same magic adventure sleepaway camp setting that this game occupies. But in the case of the real Harry Potter saga, there was a plot, there was a story, it had something to focus on, and it focused so much more on specific characters and how they interacted, rather than getting lost in the general ambiance of going to school. And to be fair, there was much more of that in the books than the films, but my point is that this game really lets you have that experience for yourself, of wandering around the corridors, getting lost trying to find a classroom, stumbling into somewhere you probably shouldn't be, the promise of new friendships and new enemies. It really makes me wish I could do it all over again. And although it can also be quite traumatizing at times, one's childhood seems to have this unique element of constantly being challenged and forced into uncomfortably new situations. You're brand new to the world, and you're slowly piecing together what this being alive thing is really about. Almost every step at the beginning is foreign. And even if you didn't have immense curiosity hardwired into your instincts, you were likely thrown into lots of new things because, well, you just didn't have a choice. Your parents made all of the important decisions for you at the beginning of your life. You have to go to school, try interacting with all of these different people. You have to learn about all of these different subjects, maybe try different sports, and definitely go to lots of new places. But as we grow older, as we become adults, and we claim agency over our lives, we often recluse into what we know is safe and familiar. And in general, this is a very reasonable approach, to spend the first portion of your life experimenting and learning what avenues the world has to offer, taking a little bit of everything into consideration so that you can narrow your aim and spend more time on the things that matter to you going forward. Yet, this life, as reasonable as it may be, can become stale as well. In some ways, we miss being thrown into situations that we wouldn't have been in if we hadn't been thrown into them. We all have plenty of things in our lives that could be better, and plenty of things we haven't learned or experienced or mastered, or just even tried. But why would we venture into those things if life is just tolerable enough right now? If we have total control over our lives that we didn't have before, why are some of our fondest memories from the times when we didn't have total control? And what is there to learn from that? As I played through Witchcraft and Wizardry, I found myself frequently thinking, wow, it's really important to play games. And maybe this will come across as profound to no one but me, but my default inclination is to never play single-player games and sometimes play multiplayer games. And while I can make a case that there is a unique reward that you get only from a story-based, progressive, single-player game that you can't get from the top-of-the-line 21st century queue and re-queue multiplayer games, I'm mainly hoping to draw attention to how passive much of our leisure time has become, specifically in the last decade. In fact, why play this game when you can watch someone else play it? We all have different addictions and different places we go when we want to be quote-unquote unproductive. But I'll tell you, me personally, I feel 1000% better if I play video games for 10 hours straight than I do if I watch YouTube for 10 hours straight. And the funny thing is, despite that, I spend half of my day watching YouTube exorbitantly more often than I spend half my day playing video games. There are certain vices you can think of that take away so much less of your time, but people will be immediately on your case for potentially having an addiction to them. Yet, if you spend any number of hours a day watching YouTube, Netflix, Twitch, movies, TikTok, no one is going to tell you you have an addiction, because it seems like everyone is spending hours a day passively watching moving pictures in one way or another. Now again, I'm not on some high horse here. I do plenty of passive media consumption. All I'm trying to say is that committing to some active media consumption instead can be exponentially more rewarding and memorable. Like this fantastic Minecraft mod, for example. Speaking of which, as you discover locations in this game, you gain the ability to fast travel between them with your Marauder's map. But as I started to become more acquainted with my surroundings and progress through the game naturally, it was much more fun for me to travel by broom, which says a lot about the game's powerful atmosphere. After I'd made it through my first third of the game, and had had a handful of long treks, following a maze of signs, hunting down my professor's classrooms, I started to blissfully accept that that novel period of the game was likely ending. As it tends to in many fantastic single-player games that inevitably cannot keep that hype throughout the final chapters of the game. But then you go to Hogsmeade, and you're just totally amazed that you have this whole new little town with a ton of side quests and new places to explore, and there's a secret passage connecting the Whomping Willow near Hagrid's place to the Shrieking Shack in Hogsmeade, and there's the Chamber of Secrets underneath the school that you find in the sewers, and you go to Azkaban. The game never stops delivering in terms of environmental diversity. In fact, once you've been everywhere, the game's essentially over. It very honorably feels no need to rehash the existing environments for the sake of extending gameplay. Even though there are so many elegant and beautiful details to this game that I would just love to show off, I decided that this wasn't going to be a full, comprehensive review, because I think you should go play it, if it seems interesting to you. Also, the creators of this were pretty clear in that they are not going to update or expand the project. And I think that effort shows. Occasionally I had a bug traveling between the different maps, and I'll have to restart the game, but besides that, it plays like a real game. It works. It's not built on a clunky reuse of the original Minecraft inventory system. You have a backpack just like you would in an RPG, a menu for your spells, you easily make transactions using the dialogue interface. It's well made. And what's one of the most well-made aspects of this? That's the music. It's crazy because it didn't even occur to me to look up whether the music was composed for this mod or not until I started making the video, because I literally thought it was just ripped from some Harry Potter movie or game soundtrack. It was that good. There aren't as many songs in this game as the actual Minecraft soundtrack has, but they are all absolutely just as captivating, just as nostalgic and magical. So I want to give a huge, huge, huge shout out to Colin Brefka for creating these amazing tracks. I'm a massive music snob, and I'd be first in line to tell you that a fan project had some blatantly MIDI, second-rate score, but Colin's work is absolutely pro here, and it should be praised alongside the core contributors to this game who obviously did an incredible job. Before playing this mod, if you asked me what came to mind when I thought of a Minecraft adventure map, I would probably think of cacophonies of frustrating parkour and the punishingly grindy gameplay of the Super Hostile series. And it was all stuff that felt like your buddy could have thrown it together in creative mode and posted it to the Minecraft forum. Even the Aether mod, which was a true landmark of achievement and creativity, it blew everything out of the water that had come before it, even that was still just an expansion and reinterpretation of the core Minecraft experience. Witchcraft and Wizardry has no mining and no crafting, but it's possibly the most fun I've had playing Minecraft alone ever. Perhaps similar to the original Minecraft experience, this Harry Potter mod represents a reality that, although resembling our own in many ways, is idealistic and lets us live in a world more perfect than our own. And I don't mean it's like that because you can make potions and fight monsters. I mean that because there's no trash on the ground. There's no smartphones. It paints a picture similar to the fantasies of my generation. of those who feel they are living in a rendition of civilization that has gone too far, where many of the ordinary pleasures of being human are increasingly difficult to prioritize against the chameleonic allure of pixels on a screen.